The first roadblock to clarity in your writing is redundancy. Now, we typically think of redundancy in most writing on the level of the idea. So, in my experience as a writing instructor, students will often submit papers that have said the same thing, presented the same idea in multiple points of the paper. That's not what I'm talking about in this lecture. I want to zoom in on the sentence. So all of these lectures are about the sentence. And I always believe if we can work on our sentences and get those sentences into shape, everything else will fall into place. So we're zooming in, we're going on that micro level to the sentence. And redundancy can occur there too. And often this is the kind of redundancy we never even notice. We just aren't looking that carefully at our sentences. So redundancy can exist on the level of the word. So that means you're using two words or more in the sentence that are actually performing the same meaningful function. So they're actually saying the same thing. So now let's look at some real examples of redundancy in practice. So the first sentence here, the board was long in size. What is redundant in that sentence? Well, the word long is all about size. It means size. So to say it's long in size is redundant. We don't need to say that. It doesn't add anything to the sentence. Why make the reader process more words than they need to? Why don't we just move on to our next point about that board? So what's the edit here? Well, you just simply cross in size out and you're done. Here's another sentence. The plane circled around the airport before landing. So I'm sure you guessed here, looking at it now very carefully on a word-by-word analysis, that the verb circled, a really good verb, very strong verb, means the same as the next word, which is around. So simply you could cross out around. Another example is the sentence, we share in common a love for baseball. So the redundancy here at the sentence level is simply that the verb share means the same as in common. Of course, if we share something, it's in common. So there's no reason to say in common after that. We can just cross that out. Another example that kind of gets me when I'm editing other people's writing, and I always cross this out, is my invention is a great new innovation. So the redundancy here, the extra word here, is new, because the noun innovation implies that it's new, because if this device or whatever the object is, the invention, wasn't an innovation, then it wouldn't be new. It would be a copy of somebody else's work. So we can just cross out new in that case. So here are some other examples listed on the slide, and I want you to pause this video and look through those and edit them, simply crossing out the unnecessary words in the sentence. This does not require recasting the sentences, rewriting the sentences. All it is just crossing a few words out and collapsing the sentence down to its essence. And you'll note that in these edits for redundancy that the final sentence that you come up with still means the same thing as the original. It just gets over with faster. To sum up, the meaning in these extra words was always found somewhere else in the sentence, usually in a previous word or a word nearby. So it was kind of duplicated meaning. So to remove that makes the sentence much more efficient, much cleaner, much tighter.